Ready, ready. Okay. Good evening to all of you. I hope all are well. Today topic is very practical and very interesting topic. The name of the topic is tax invoice, credit note and debit note. And in the next class, we will discuss this part, e-way bill. We are starting the topic from section 31. Section 31 is talking about the tax invoice, subsection 1. A registered person supplying taxable goods before or at the time of. Question is, what is the time limit to issue the tax invoice? What is it written? Before or at the time of removal of the goods where the supply involves the movement of the goods. And in any other case, the delivery of the goods or making available thereof to the recipient. So this before is giving the answer that can I issue the invoice in advance? Yes, definitely I can issue the invoice in advance. But there is a cutoff date by which you should issue the invoice. In the case of the supply of the goods, it has been divided in two parts. What is the two part? The part number 1, whether there is movement of the goods or not. If there is a movement, then removal of the goods will be the last date to issue the invoice. Or in any other case, meaning thereby where the supply does not involve the movement of the goods. Can you tell me any example which is a supply of the goods but does not involve the movement of the goods? I'm asking the question to all of you. The transaction is a supply of the goods, but as a result, there is no movement. Can you give me any example? Question to all of you. Because in that case, the time limit to issue the tax invoice would be delivery of the goods or making available thereof to the recipient. Waiting for your answer. So, shall issue the tax invoice. Installation of plant and machinery, house property, build to ship to model. Okay, tell me one thing. Do you agree with this? If I am selling the land, or completed building, it can be the example for the clause B. Yes or no? If I am selling the land, can it be the example for the clause B? Supply the goods which does not involve the movement. So why you are saying big plant and machinery will not be moved? Say, for example, you need the big plant and machinery. I am a supplier of the big plant and machinery. So I have to remove that goods to your location. Na? I have to deliver the goods at your location. Even though it is a big, but that involve the movement. If I am saying that if it is a sale of land or completed building can be the example for the clause B, answer would be no. Why no, sir? We all know the definition of the supply of the goods. The supply of the goods meaning thereby, what is the meaning of the supply of the goods? Every kind of movable property. Meaning thereby, immovable property can never be the goods. Immovable property can never be the goods. Therefore, sale of land or completed building I'm talking about, it cannot be the example for the clause B. It cannot be the example for the clause B. Then what can be the example? I am giving you one example. Suppose I have purchased one building. Okay. So that cannot be the example. Perfect. But when I'm purchasing the building, I'm also purchasing the furniture fixtures. I'm also purchasing the inverter, air condition, fan, chairs, table, everything I'm buying, computers. Whether all these movable item is not the supply of the goods? Answer is yes, it is a supply of the goods because these are movable item. And if it is movable, supply the goods where there be any movement after the sale. Where there be any movement after the supply? No, it will not be any movement. There will be no movement. So that can be the example of the clause B. Repeating again. So normally the registered person shall issue the tax invoice for supply of the goods on or before the date of the removal. If the supply does not involve the movement of the goods, then delivery of the goods or making available thereof. Shall issue the tax invoice showing the description, quantity, value, etc. We will discuss the rule 46. For this, we will discuss what should be the content on the tax invoice. What should be the content on the tax invoice? We will discuss in the rule 46. But Rekha, whether it is making available thereof in any other case, what we are reading, supplying the taxable goods. If underlying item is not a goods, will it be fall in the clause 1? Will it be fall in the clause B or clause A? We are talking about supply of the goods. So first, that item which you are supplying, that should be goods. Land and completed building cannot be the goods because it is immovable property, and according to the definition, goods means every kind of the movable property. Is it okay? But unconstructed building, I hope you remember Mansa Schedule 2. So para 5, clause B, Schedule 2, para 5, clause B, talking about under constructed building, under constructed property will be the supply. So that cannot be the example. Is it clear, Mansa and Rekha? Sakti, delivery of the warehouse receipt. Delivery of the warehouse receipt means? Kindly repeat the question. So now proviso says that government on the recommendation of the council by notification specify the category of the goods or supplies in respect of which a tax invoice shall be issued within such time and such manner as may be prescribed. So government has the power to issue the notification. Fine. 31 subsection 2 talk about the service. In the subsection 1, we have discussed goods. Now we are talking about services. Shall before or after the provision of the services, but within a prescribed period, issue the tax invoice showing the particular, we will discuss in the rule 46. So 31 subsection 2 simply says that you should, if registered person is supplying the taxable services, then he will issue the before or after, but within how much time that may be prescribed. So we'll discuss the rule 47. For this, we will discuss the rule 47. For content, what should be the description? What should be the content on the tax invoice? We are going to read rule 46. Now the proviso says, government on the recommendation of the council that specify the categories in which a tax invoice shall be issued within such time and manner, and subject to the condition mentioned therein, specify the category of the services in respect of which any other document can be issued in relation to the supply shall be deemed to be the tax invoice, and tax invoice may not be issued. So government has the power to notify certain category of the services in respect of the which tax invoice when it will be issued. It can relax also, or it can specify the any other document. 31 subsection 3 is very important because it's cover multiple type of the documents or vouchers. For the clause A, I would use the word revised invoice. What is the clause A? Revised invoice. What is the clause A? Revised invoice. What is the concept of revised invoice? Let's move in the bottom part in the analysis, then we will be able to have the more clarity. Any question so far? So fine, no problem. So before that, we will complete the rule 46 and 47 that we have discussed. So time limit to issue the tax invoice, we have already discussed. So let's read the rule 47. What is the time limit in case of services? What is the time limit in case of services? So normal time limit is 30 days. Sir, what is after provision of service? So time limit to issue the services is 30 days. Time limit to issue the invoice in case of the supply the services is 30 days. In case of the insurance, banking company, financial institution and NBFC, 4 category. Insurance, banking company, financial institution or NBFC. The time limit is 45 days from the provision of the services. Now, in case of the distinct person transaction, insurance, banking company, financial institution, NBFC, 4 are already covered. Now plus 1, remember this name. That can be asked in any small question. Telecom operator. Normally, whether telecom operator has to issue the invoice within 30 days or 45 days, answer is 30 days. Because in the above clause, only banking company, financial institution, NBFC and insurance are covered. They have the additional time limit or they have to issue the invoice within 45 days. In case of the insurance, banking, financial, NBFC plus telecom operator or any other class as may be notified, making the taxable supplies of the service between distinct person. What is the meaning of the distinct person? One pen multiple GST. Let's say ICICI Bank Delhi providing the service to the ICICI Bank Mumbai. Is it chargeable to GST? Is it chargeable to GST? Ayush, we are on the page number 9. So you can say 8.9. We are on the page number 9, 8.9. Absolutely correct, Karthik. Now we have correctly linked. We have already discussed this concept in the time of supply chapter. So in case of the distinct person, they are providing the service. For example, ICICI Bank Delhi providing the supply of the service to the Mumbai. Will it be taxable? Answer is yes. Schedule 1 para 2 talks about. Schedule 1 para 2 talks about that transaction between related person or distinct person would be chargeable to GST or would be considered as supply even without consideration. So the transaction is taxable, no doubt about that. What is the time limit to issue the invoice? They are saying either before or at the time such supplier record the same in his books of accounts, or maximum he has the time limit till quarter. Before the expiry of the quarter, he has to issue the tax invoice. In case of the distinct person, they have the time limit to issue the invoice till quarter. Normally 30 days. For category of the person, banking, financial institution, NBFC and insurance, 45 days. In case of the distinct person, these entity plus telecom operator, time limit is till quarter. Now, for continuous supply of goods or continuous supply of the service, what is the time limit? For continuous supply of the goods, for continuous supply of the service, what is the time limit? Before that, please read the meaning of the continuous supply of the goods and continuous supply of the service. And most important difference, that for service to be called, to be understood, to be defined as a continuous, it should be provided for a period of more than 3 months. Continuous supply the service, it means the service which has been rendered for a period of more than 3 months on a continuous basis, that will be called as a continuous supply the service. But for continuous supply the goods, there is no minimum time period mentioned. There is no minimum time period is mentioned. So it means, for example, Mr. A is supplying the goods to your location on a continuous basis for 1 month. Is it a continuous supply of the goods? Answer would be yes. The 3 month criteria, the criteria of the 3 month is only given in the continuous supply of the service. So that is the difference. What else? Now read the definition of the continuous supply of the goods first. Supply of the goods which is provided or agreed to be provided continuously or on recurrent basis under a contract, whether or not by means of wire, cable, pipeline or other conduits, for which the supplier invoice the recipient on a regular basis or periodically basis, include the supply of such goods subject to such condition as may be specified. So we have understood the definition of the continuous supply of the goods. Similarly, continuous supply of the service means service which is provided or agreed to be provided on a continuously or on recurrent basis under a contract for a period exceeding 3 months. Always remember that for supply of the service to be considered or to be treated as a continuous, it should be for more than 3 months. Now, what is the time limit to issue the tax invoice which we are reading? I did not understand the part shaded in the pink color, sir. Pooja, kindly confirm this part. Kindly confirm this part. Just confirm, I will again repeat the same. But let me complete in case of the continuous supply of the goods and continuous supply of the service. What is the time limit to issue the tax invoice? Where I'm talking about the goods, where successive statement of accounts or successive payment are involved. In that case, the invoice shall be issued before or at the time. Invoice shall be issued before or at the time each such statement is issued or payment is received. I can say whichever is earlier. Either I am receiving the payment or I am issuing the statement. See, once the goods are supplied on a continuous basis, so there would be some periodicity or there would be some time period within which I will issue the statement or you will make the payment to me. So that would be the last day to issue the tax invoice. Now I'm talking about the continuous supply of service. The continuous supply of the service is linked to the payment. Continuous supply of the service in case of the continuous supply of the service, the time limit to issue the tax invoice is linked to the payment. Point number one, if you can determine the due date from the contract, if you can ascertain, if you can decide, what you can decide, due date of what? So due date of the payment, if I can determine from the contract, that become last date to issue the tax invoice. If due date is not ascertainable from the contract, not possible, sir, the due date is not being given in that contract, then when you actually receive the payment, that would be the last date to issue the tax invoice. Third case, when payment is linked to the completion of an event. So normally in case of construction property, you can see that the builder is talking about that first give me 20% advance, balance 10% when structure is completed, balance 10% when your floor is completed, balance 10% when your flat is completed, and balance amount please make payment on the delivery. So what is that? Now they are saying the payment is linked to certain completion of an event. Successive means regular, periodically basis. Successive means you are making the payment after 10 days, after 7 days. So I am saying if due date is ascertainable, then due date is the last date. If due date is not ascertainable from the contract, then actual date of payment is the last date. If the payment is linked to the completion of an event, then on or before the date of completion of event, that would be the last date. So service and goods both we have completed. Now Pooja, I am repeating this part. See, if insurance company, banking company normally provide the service, the last date to issue the tax invoice 45 days. But now in the highlighted part, they are saying they are providing to the distinct person within the company, same PAN number, they are providing to another branch who are having different GST number. That we know, right? What is the meaning of distinct person, Pooja? I hope that is clear. Multiple times we have discussed. Now the point is, when these company who five insurance, banking, financial institution, NBFC, and telecom operator, these companies providing the service to the distinct person, another banking company, another financial institution of the same PAN, another branch of the same PAN, then what is the last date? Again, further relaxation is being given. Either they will issue the invoice, at the time of recording the expenditure, recording the income. At that time, they will account for. Otherwise, they can issue the invoice till the quarter. During the quarter, they can issue the invoice during the quarter, I can say. So they have the again relaxation till the quarter. They can issue the tax invoice. Normally 30 days for normal service. In case of the banking, 45 days. In case of the banking to the distinct person, till the quarter. Is it clear? Kindly confirm, Pooja. Continuous service for a continuous period of 3 means no gap between months, right, sir? Continuous basis, correct. Suppose Somesh, you have been appointed as a consultant, or you have been appointed as a concurrent auditor of any bank. So it means you will go on regular basis. Customer are also distinct person. Rekha, section 25. In the last chapter we have discussed, PAN number is same, GST number is different. So when you are supplying the services to your branch only under the same PAN, then that is only distinct person. Customer can never be the different PAN number, can never be the distinct person. Any example when due date is not ascertainable? When due date is not, suppose contract is silent. See, normally the contract talks about the due date of the payment. Suppose if the due date is not being given, they are saying you supply the services. Let's talk an hypothetical example. That you need to provide the service, and if bank will satisfy, then they will think for the payment. So we can say actually periodically payment is not being received. Only after completion of the service you can say the payment is to be due or to be collected. Now let's move further. Where the supply of the service before is 31 subsection 6 talks about that if supply of the service ceases under a contract. See, for example, you have been Mr. A has received the contract for 1 year. After 4 months, because of any reason, the contract has been cancelled. Any reason, contract has been cancelled. So 31 subsection 6 says that till the time the contract is being cancelled, whatever the work is completed, kindly issue the tax invoice. Invoice shall be issued to the extent of the supplies made prior to the suggestion. Can continuous supply the goods be occur from a gap of the 10 to 15 days? There is no time limit is specified. There is no time limit is specified. So it means you are saying that on regular basis, maybe it can be daily, it can be weekly, it can be alternate days. That is continuous supply of the goods. 31.7, most important, remember always, practically it is being used very much, and also maybe for the exam point of view, it is also important. Goods sent on sales or return basis. See, whenever I am removing the goods, because of the supply, the last date to issue the tax invoice is, tell me, please tell me, this is the question to all of you. If I am removing the goods because of the supply, then what is the last date to issue the tax invoice? If I am removing the goods on account of the supply, there is a movement of the goods. What is the last date to issue the tax invoice? What is the last date to issue the tax invoice? The last date to issue the tax invoice is before or at the time of removal of the goods. Before or at the time of removal of the goods. Now, the 31 subsection 7 is an exception to that. Puja, 30 days is the services. 30 days is the services. I use 6 months was not there. If it is a supply, you have to issue the tax invoice from the date of the removal of the goods. On or before the date of the removal of the goods. Bharat, 30 days is for services, not for goods. Akasnil, absolutely correct at the time of removal of the goods, date of removal of the goods. Now, try to understand. When you are removing the goods, if it is because of the supply, if you are removing the goods, and it is a supply, the last date will be date of the removal. 31 subsection 7 says you are removing the goods, but it is not a supply. Why? Because I am making the sales on approval basis. Means my customer will accept. If we find okay, then only he will accept. Otherwise, he will return the goods. No problem. 31 subsection says you can remove the goods without issuing the tax invoice. No problem. No problem. But maximum time limit is 6 months. Either the goods should come back within that period, or customer has accepted, then you have issued the tax invoice. Otherwise, after the expiry of the 6 months, it will be considered as deemed sale. It will be considered as deemed sale. And 31.7 says that you should issue the tax invoice. You should issue the tax invoice before or at the time of the supply when customer accept, or 6 months from the date of the removal, whichever is earlier. Rafiq bhai, why you are saying payment? We are talking about the goods, not the services. We are talking about the goods, not the services. Karthik, good question. Just wait for some time. Supply to be made in lot. Okay. Wait. Absolutely correct. The proviso to the 16.2 would apply. The proviso to the 16.2 would apply only on the last date of the lot. Only on the last lot or installment he can take the ITC. Even though he has issued the tax invoice, supplier has issued the tax invoice in between. Now, what is the rule 46? What is the rule 46? Content of the tax invoice. What should be there in the tax invoice? It says that it says name and address and GST number of the supplier. Perfect. Consecutive serial number not exceeding 16 character. Consecutive serial number not exceeding 16 character. Means if the goods are not returned within 6 months, it will be deemed to be accepted. Yes, it will be deemed to be supplied. Accepted or not doesn't matter. GST will treat it is a sale and you have to pay the tax. GST will treat it is a sale and you have to pay the tax. First condition is not clear in case the goods sent on approval basis. If goods are sent on approval basis, okay, first condition is not clear. They are saying when customer accept the same and you have considered it is a supply. So I am giving the goods to you, Karthik, on the sales on approval basis. Either you will accept or you will return the goods. So they are saying when you accept, it becomes the supply. When you accept, it becomes the supply. So I can issue the tax invoice before or at the time of acceptance, or that is supply. Second, or maximum time limit is 6 months. Either you have returned the goods, if not returned, then till that time you have accepted within 6 months, no problem, I will treat the same as a supply. But after the expiry of the 6 months, from date of removal, it will be considered as a deemed supply. Kindly confirm, is it clear? Isa and Karthik. Consecutive serial number not exceeding 16 character in one or multiple series containing alphabet, numeric, or special character. Only two special character are allowed, which are that is dash and slash. It can be dash or it can be slash. It can be dash or hyphen or it can be slash. See, Mansa, for deemed supply, only schedule one is not the deemed supply. Oh, but this is not mentioned as schedule 1 of section 7(1)(c) item. But why you are linking 7(1)(c)? See, you have supplied the goods. So what happened? Otherwise, Mansa, otherwise, if the time limit is not fixed, not fixed, then everyone will say we are sending the goods on sales on approval. Suppose the time limit is not fixed. So actually see, Mansa, you are not required to go to 7(1)(c) also. This is the normal supply. You are giving the goods or services in the course of furtherance of the business. You are supplying the goods or services in the course of furtherance of business, and there is consideration. If this type of the clause, time limit, why the section 31, importance of the section 31, so that one should issue the tax invoice. If not, then they have to pay the tax along with interest. And otherwise, Mansa, for your understanding only, not important from exam point of view, just to answer your question I'm giving, in the GST, the deemed supply is Schedule 1. One is Schedule 1. Second is Section 31, subsection 7. And third is Section 143, job worker. This is not in our syllabus. We will discuss in the CA final. But please make it clear, schedule 1 is not only the limited to the deemed supply. I hope it is clear. Consecutive serial number means continuous basis. Consecutive serial number means it can be up to 16 character in one series or multiple series. If I like to keep 2 series, is it possible? Obviously possible, no problem. For example, I'm providing the teaching to you, I can keep 1 series. I am providing I am doing the consultancy practice, I can make the different series possible. Rule 46 is allowing that. I can use special character like dash and slash or any combination thereof, unique for a financial year. Unique for a financial year. Uniqueness means the number should not be repeated. The number should not be repeated. My question to all of you. On 31st March 2022, why bill to ship to deemed supply? It is actual supply, sir. It is a deemed receipt, not the deemed supply. Supply is actual, but it is only deemed receipt. Because of the 16.2, it is a deemed receipt. 31st March 2022, my last tax invoice number is 478. Listen my question carefully. You will have the clarity on this point. On 1st April 2022, is it mandatory to issue the tax invoice from number 1? Is it mandatory to issue the tax invoice from 1? Or if I want, I can issue from 479. Is it mandatory to issue from 1? Or I can issue from 479 onwards? Kindly answer. Mahadev, I hope it is clear. That is inscribed in the tax invoice. Consecutive serial number means 16 character pack. Your tax invoice number can be of maximum 16 character. Can I issue the tax invoice from 479 or I have to mandatorily issue from tax invoice number 1? Just I'm asking, I have to compulsory number 1? Do I have to keep compulsory 1? Why, sir, you are saying so? Because the word unique is written, sir. Because the word unique is written, does it mean that I have to issue from 1 number? No, that is never the intention of the law. They are saying you can keep any number. You can keep any number, just ensure that 479 should be unique in the entire financial year. That's it. It is not necessary that number should be started with 1. Not necessary. It can be any in-between number also, but that ensure your in-between number should be continuous in the series and it should not be duplicated. Is it okay? There is no compulsion. I can use any number, only point that should be unique for that financial year. If recipient is unregistered, if recipient is registered, now next, their name, address, and GST number or UIN. If the recipient is unregistered, then divide the value. Is it less than 50,000? Can you give me the example of multiple series? I am issuing invoice, let's say ICAI CA Inter November 22 batch, and that is 1. And for next, for my consulting services, I'm issuing consulting 22-23 divide by 1. It is written in A for a financial year. That should be number unique. Unique means only that number should not be repeated. It can be 1. You can start with 1, or if you want, you can start with the continuous series. There is no problem at all. Unique means non-repetitive. Absolutely correct. In this case, can I start with 500? Obviously, yes. You can start. You can start with 500, no problem. But that number should be continuous. Means 500, 501, 502, 503, 504. In between, if it is cancelled, that you have to report. You can start with 500, but it should be in the continuous manner. You cannot break the chain. And if you are breaking, if you are cancelling, that should be reported in the GSTR1. If the amount is less than 50,000, unregistered recipient may still request to capture the detail on the tax invoice. It's single tax invoice. Bharat, single tax invoice. Single tax invoice is less than 50,000. If the value of a single transaction is 50,000 or more, name, address of the recipient and delivery address along with name of the state and code is compulsory. We are talking about B2C transactions. We are talking about B2C transaction. We are not talking about B2B transactions. Because in case of the B2B, you have to capture everything. Name, address, GST number, etc. But when it is B2C, please note it has been divided whether value is 50,000 or more. If yes, the name, address, delivery address along with the state and code. It is mandatory. And if it is up to 50,000, less than 50,000, unregistered recipient may still request the aforesaid detail to be recorded in tax invoice. If he is not requesting, listen carefully. If he is not requesting, then it is up to the supplier that he can record or he can ignore the same. He can ignore or he can mention the same. Again, repeating, if the value is 50,000 or more, it is compulsion on the supplier to report or to record the name, address, delivery address, name of the state and the code. If it is 50,000, less than 50,000, if unregistered recipient request, then only it is mandatory, otherwise not. HSN code for goods or services. What is the full form of HSN code? Harmonized System of Nomenclature. So normally for the services, we are using the word SAC, Service Accounting Code. And for goods, we are using the word HSN. But sometimes HSN is used in a broader sense. See, HSN code for goods and services. It means if my taxable supply is exceed, or my aggregate turnover is exceed from the prescribed limit, then I have to mention the certain HSN code or certain HSN code for the goods or services on the tax invoice. What is that? We'll discuss in some time. Or let's read here only. What is the requirement of HSN code? If your aggregate turnover, if your annual aggregate turnover exceed 5 crore, if your annual aggregate turnover exceed 5 crore, then 6 digit is mandatory. 6 digit of HSN code is mandatory to be mentioned on the tax invoice, whether it is B2C or whether it is B2B. If your aggregate turnover is up to 5 crore, then in case of the B2B, it is 4 digit, and in case of the B2C, it is relaxed, not required. Can you please show image of the tax invoice for more clarification? Sure, I will show. The provision of it can be linked to the e-way bill. You can link or you cannot link. That is your choice. But there is no such linkage required. Ayush, but sir, number which I mentioned is not following the fact written here. So the number which I mentioned is not following the facts written here. Can you explain the corroboration of that number within the fact written in the bulletin? Which which number you are talking about? Which number you mentioned, Ayush? I use and explain this serial number wala point. Okay. So you are saying FAA 62B 234 times 0 3316. Is it correct? Kindly confirm. This number you want me to repeat? This number you want me to explain? Ayush, kindly confirm. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Is it not exceeding 16 digit? Correct? Then it says that containing alphabet or numeric. Alpha and numeric, alpha, numeric, alpha, numeric. Okay. Special character they have not used, their choice. But if you want, you can use, if you want, you can use alpha only. You want, you can use only numeric. You want, you can use combination any thereof. Any combination thereof. And that should be unique. So it is 16 digit. Yes. It is using alphabet. Yes. It is using numeric. Yes. Special character not used. So there are three components: alpha, numeric, or special character. Either you can use individually or any combination thereof. It's your choice. So is it clear that the number which is being used by the Flipkart is according to the requirement of the rule 46? Sir, can we say that supply by RP to URP is considered as B2? Prabhas, we have discussed in the initial transaction. Na? In ITC also we have discussed. What is the meaning of B2B? From registered party to registered party. What is the meaning of B2C? Registered party to unregistered party. Consumer, customer. If my customer is unregistered, it is called as B2C transaction. But GST number, Mansa, you are linking to different thing. That GST number is, so do we need to mention the invoice number equal to the GST number? Mansa, that is invoice number. It can be only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They are saying maximum digit is 16 character. Along with you need to write the GST number also. These are the two separate requirements: name, address, GST number, and invoice number. What exactly is HSN code? HSN code is harmonized system of nomenclature. When you issue the tax invoice, you will find, like if I'm issuing the cloth, or if I'm supplying the cloth, the 4 digit is 5208. If I'm doing the transportation business, I will issue the 9965, 9967. So likewise, these are the HSN code. Give me only 1 minute so that you have the better clarity. Give me only 1 minute. I will open the one tax invoice for all of the reference for ease of everybody, and to understand in the better term, I will use one tax invoice format and will show to all the participants. Just allow me 1 minute. Meanwhile, you can ask any question if you have. So suppose this is the tax invoice. This is the tax invoice, supplier name, address, location, supplier GST number, tax invoice, billing party, shipping party. This is invoice number. These are the two different requirement, friend. This is the GST number of customer and this is invoice number. See, in this invoice, you can see the numeric, alpha and special character. Everything is being used. Date, terms, etc. Going back, and when suppose there is a service, so you can see that accounting would be used. Service accounting code or HSN code, you can see that here it is written SAC 999293. 999293. Is it clear? Zoom it. No problem. I'll zoom it. See the supplier name, address, supplier GST number, customer name, address, customer GST number, place of the supply. Go to the above. Invoice number. It should be maximum 16 character. So 007/2223/CCI. Date, any other things. Is it clear? And also I have shown to you that SAC code, description, etc. Please tell me, is it clear how the tax invoice should be issued? And then rate of the taxes. Rate of the tax is 18%. What is the value? Say this is the value. Before taxes, this is the tax. Tax ka rate and tax ka amount should be separately shown. Description, quantity, total value, taxable value, rate of the taxes, bifurcated, whether it is CSI, amount of the taxes, place of the supply. You have also seen delivery address, whether tax is payable under reverse charge. For example, I am a transporter and supplying the service to you. While issuing the tax invoice, I will say the tax payable is under reverse charge. Why does we come up with a concept called HSN code? What is its purpose? Kiran, this is worldwide accepted. So the goods or services would not be identified according to its description. It should be identified according to the code. And the coding system is worldwide. See, it is called as World Custom Code, WCO, WCC. Do we have HSN character limit? Yes, yes, yes. They are saying minimum 6 digit if aggregate turnover is greater than 5 crore for B2B or B2C, or minimum 4 digit if your aggregate turnover is up to 5 crore, but it is only for B2B. For B2C, it is optional. For B2C, it is optional, not applicable. Relaxation because signature or digital signature of the supplier or is authorized representative in case of e-invoicing. That point we are going to discuss. It is not required. QR code having embedded IRN number in it in case of e-invoice. What is the e-invoice? What is the meaning of QR code? What is the meaning of IRN? We all will discuss in the e-invoice chapter. Just wait for some time. Now, the HSN code requirement, we have discussed that if it is aggregate turnover is greater than 5 crore, you need to mention 6 digit for B2B or B2C. If it is up to 5 crore, for B2B 4 digit and B2C optional. Raghavan and everyone kindly confirm the requirement of the tax invoice and the number of the HSN code or SSC code to be mentioned. Is it clear to everybody? Any doubt, kindly ask. Normally, invoice should be issued in triplicate, and invoice for goods should be issued for triplicate, and invoice for taxable supply the service should be issued in duplicate. Goods, one for supplier, one for recipient, one for transporter. But in case of the services, there would be no transportation, correct? So there would be duplicate only. So, miss, if supplier are unregistered, then recipient will prepare one self-invoice only in case of RC. Only in case of the reverse charge. We'll discuss the requirement. This point we will discuss. Just wait for a couple of minutes. 31 subsection 3, we are going to discuss the concept of self-invoice, concept of receipt voucher, concept of payment voucher, refund voucher, etc. They have given the sample tax invoice. Before coming to the E-invoice, difference between HSN code and SAC code. SAC. Rafiq bhai, normally HSN code is a broader term. Means for goods as well as services, normally it is called as HSN code. But sometimes you might listen SAC. That is only for service. The full name is Service Accounting Code. Service Accounting Code. Is it clear? I hope it is clear. Kindly confirm. Page number 28. HSN means Harmonized System of Nomenclature. So that is the coding system. Coding system to describe any goods or services. Sir, SSC code is specific to India only and HSN is worldwide. Am I right? No, sir. Everything is worldwide. Everything is worldwide. When SSC is issued. Service, for example, if I'm providing the service, so I will use the word SSC, but that is code only. That is code only. It has nothing to do. HSN is the broader term. HSN is the broader term which is used for goods and services. Sometime you listen that you need to mention SSC code. So might be you get confused. So that is the reason I've given the clarity. But when in the exam you will write HSN code for the goods or services. You will write HSN code for the goods or services. When the rule is there, you need to write, then also you will write number of the digit of HSN code. SSC code, only for your clarity, I have given. You may see sometime that word SSC is being used, so you will not get confused. Otherwise, HSN code is the term wider in the sense will cover goods as well as services. Special case, revised tax invoice. Try to understand this. Revised tax invoice. Every registered person who is granted registration with effect from a date earlier than the date of issuance of certificate of registration may issue revised tax invoice. Such invoice shall be issued against the invoice already issued during the period. Revised tax invoice shall be issued within 1 month from the date of the issuance of the certificate of registration. Check it. Now, suppose I am liable to take registration on 1st July 2022. Why? Because my aggregate turnover exceeds the threshold limit. I hope you remember same example or same discussion we have already had in the concept of effective date of registration. What was the effective date of registration concept? If you make the application, suppose on 1st July 2022, I was liable to take registration. If I make the application within how many days? If I make the application of registration within how many days? Kindly give the answer, already covered. In the last class already covered. In the last class already covered. I have to make the application of registration within how many days? Thank you so much. If I make the application within 30 days, let's say I applied on 25th July, my certificate of registration is being granted on 8th of August. Correct? What is my effective date of registration? What is my effective date of registration in this case? What is my effective date of registration in this case? What is my effective date of registration in this case? The answer is 1st July. So from 1st July, from 1st July till 8th of August, till 7th of August, whatever the supply I have made, I will issue the revised tax invoice within 1 month from 8th of August. What is the requirement to issue the revised tax invoice? Sir, whatever the document I have issued, that document is not the GST tax invoice, because I am liable to collect the taxes, but I need to issue the GST tax invoice. Probably that will not have my GST number. So you will issue the revised invoice, time period within 1 month from the date of the registration. Within 1 month, you will issue the revised invoice. HSN code is up to us. Whatever number we like, subject to the limit of the digit you told, and should be used by us universally for long time, sir, isn't it? We are also using in the custom, we are using the same tariff. See, the tariff which we are referring, that is nothing but the custom tariff which we have opted in the GST. And the custom tariff, or now the GST tariff, is nothing but the, almost it is similar to the world. So 1st July, he was liable to take registration. 1st July, he was liable to take registration. Time limit is 30 days. Time limit is 30 days. Within 30 days, he can apply. So on 25th July, he applied, and finally the certificate was granted on 8th of August 2022. Akash, what is the effective date of registration? Akash, what is the effective date of registration? 1st July, we have already discussed in the registration chapter. So revised tax invoice is saying that from 8th August onward, within 1 month, you have to issue the revised tax invoice for all the supplies made in between. Why? Because whatever the supply I have made, I have to collect the taxes. Whatever the supply I have made, I have to collect the taxes, because I was liable from 1st July 2022 onward. I am liable to collect the taxes, but the document which I issued, that will not be the proper tax invoice, because my GST number is only allotted on 8th of August. So I will issue the revised tax invoice, proper tax invoice. Recipient would be able to take the ITC on the basis of that document. So the time limit is 1 month. Is it clear? Ayush. Sorry, Akash. Kindly quickly confirm. If applied after 30 days, then no revised invoice. Sushil Kumar Barik, 8.8. 8th of August, right. The revised tax invoice can be used to claim the ITC on the goods or line date when become liable to register. So, miss, see, revised tax invoice is for my customer. Revised tax invoice is for my customer. But if I have registered, you are talking about section 18. Probably you're talking about section 18. I have, so miss, I request ITC chapter we will not use here because I have already explained in detail. Otherwise, we will mix the concept. Again, we will have to go in detail of the ITC chapter. I would request, please see the video of the section 18 we have discussed in length. This concept we have used in the ITC section 18. Also, we have discussed in the mandatory effective date of registration and also now here. So let's close here only. Okay. Consolidated revised tax invoice in certain cases. A registered person may issue the consolidated in respect of the all taxable supplies made to unregistered person during such period. So consolidation is possible. However, in case of the interstate supply, consolidated revised tax invoice cannot be issued in respect of all unregistered recipient if the value exceeds 2,50,000. So there is a requirement in the GSTR1. So that is consolidation. If my customer is unregistered, I can issue the consolidated revised tax invoice. Now the particular of the revised tax invoice, it is exactly same. It is exactly same whatever we have discussed. Name, address, GST number, 16 character, date of issue, name, address, and GST number. If registered, name, address of the recipient and delivery address, along with name of the code if such recipient is unregistered, serial number and date of the corresponding tax invoice as the case may be, bill of supply. So whatever the tax invoice I have issued, from effective date till the date of registration, signature of the digital signature. That's it. Let's do one example. Love and Coast Private Limited of Meghalaya engaged in the supplying of the gift item and repair services provides you the following details. Commencement of the business is 1st August. Turnover exceed 10 lakh on 15th August. Turnover exceed 20 lakh 5th September. Application of the registration 28th September. Registration certificate granted is 6th October. Company seek your advice as to how it should raise the revised tax invoice for the supplies made. Is there any specific provision for issuance of the revised tax invoice to unregistered customer? Kindly explain. Now, first give me the answer. What is the date of liability? First, give me the answer. What is the date of liability? In this case, what is the date of liability? In this case, what is the date of liability? Is it 1st August? Is it 15th August? Is it 5 September? Is it 28 September? Is it 6 October? The answer is 5th September. So from 5th September, whether he make the application within 30 days or not, whether he has applied within 30 days or not, yes or no, whether he has applied in the 30 days or not, whether this particular person has applied the GST registration within 30 days, yes or no. Karthik, why 15th August? Why 15th August? What is the location? What is the location in this case? Meghalaya. What is the location in this case? Meghalaya. Any? Now you will give the answer. You will explain the provision because it is in Meghalaya. Correct, na? Special category state. So we will explain the provision 20 lakh or 10 lakh. Registration has to be applied within 30 days. You will explain the concept. Okay. See, for example, I'm assuming that because he is in Meghalaya, engage in the supply the gift item, repair services, provide to you the following details. So because he's in Meghalaya, what is the threshold limit? You remember? What is the threshold limit? Is it 10 lakh or is it 20 lakhs? Go back to the registration chapter. Go back to the registration chapter and see what is the threshold limit for Meghalaya. What is the threshold limit for Meghalaya? What is the threshold limit for Meghalaya? The answer would be 20 lakhs. Can you tell me the name of the 4 special category state according to the section 22? Can you tell me the name of the 4 category state according to the section 22? Can you tell me name of the 4 category state according to the section 22? Karthik, Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland, Tripura. Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland, Tripura. Am I right? So Meghalaya is not the special category state according to section 22, and therefore the threshold limit is 20 lakh in case of Meghalaya. So what is the date of the liability? It is 5th September. Whether he has applied within 30 days, yes. From the date he received the certificate, what is the effective date of registration? What is the effective date? That is 5th September. He will issue the revised tax invoice. He will issue the revised tax invoice from 5th September to 6th of till 5th of October. Whatever the supply he has made, he will issue the revised tax invoice. I hope it is clear. Kindly confirm. 5th September is the effective date. So still MMNT may you might be forgot that M is Manipur or M is Meghalaya. You might not remember that M is Manipur or M is Meghalaya. So that can be the confusion. So try to remember these 4 special categories state by name: Mani, Mizoram, Nagaland, Tripura. Is it clear to everybody? Kindly confirm. Within 1 month from 6th of October, right? Now they are saying up less than 200, no tax invoice required to be issued. No tax invoice required to be issued if value is less than 200. Instead of individual tax invoice, I can issue the consolidated tax invoice. 31 subsection 3 clause B says that value of the goods or services supplied is less than 200 individual transaction. Recipient is unregistered and he does not require that invoice. I can issue the consolidated tax invoice. So I am leaving the example number 2. You can read. Consolidated tax invoice means that suppose I am supplying the bakery item and the value of the bakery per invoice is 50 rupees. You are coming, I am giving you one bakery item, value 50 rupees. Another customer coming, let's say total 100 customer reach. So should I have to issue the every invoice separately? They are saying if the value is less than 500, if the value is less than 200, customer is unregistered and he is not demanding the tax invoice, then you can do the consolidation at the end of every day. You can issue the consolidated tax invoice, combining merged invoice. Instead of separately, you can do the consolidation. That is the meaning. What is the meaning of bill of supply? What is the meaning of the bill of supply? Bill of supply will be issued either you are registered under regular category and you are supplying the exempted item, or you are registered under composition levy. Either you are registered under regular category and issuing the or supplying the exempted item, or you are registered under composition category. In that case, you are not liable to collect the tax. Either supply is exempted or you are composite dealer. You cannot collect the tax. Then the name of the document will be bill of supply. Name of the document will be bill of supply. Particular of the bill of supply: name, address, GST number, consecutive serial number, not exceeding 16 character. Everything is same. date, name, HSM code, description, value, signature, etc. Everything is same. Now let's take a let's discuss this last point. Invoice come bill of supply. In consolidated invoice is not given to any customer. See, what is the requirement? You can issue the consolidated invoice only when the customer is unregistered, Rekha, and he is not demanding the tax invoice. If he is demanding the tax invoice, you have to issue the separate tax invoice to him. But suppose customer are coming, he is not demanding, you have given the supply, then at the end of the day, you can keep with you. You can keep with you. There is no requirement to issue to anybody. What is the use of having registration certificate if the assessor is only supplying exempted item? There is no use. But let's say if Mansa, suppose if person is supplying the taxable goods as well as exempted goods. I am supplying the branded product also and unbranded loose goods also. Let's say I'm doing the business of atta, dal, chawal, chini. I am supplying the atta, dal, chawal, chini. I am supplying in branded packed item, pre-packaged and labeled, and also I am supplying the in loose. Loose, there is no tax, but for taxable, I need to issue the tax invoice, and for the loose item, I will issue the bill of supply. On whose name consolidated invoice? There is no name. There is no name. Just write cash or whatever the mode, or you can write simply the consolidated invoice according to 31(3)(b). There is no requirement to mention single name because it itself a consolidated invoice. You are merging all the transactions. What is the concept of invoice cum bill of supply? Let's say you are coming and purchasing taxable item as well as exempted item. You are coming to my shop and you are purchasing taxable item as well as exempted item. You are purchasing taxable item as well as exempted item. For the taxable item or exempted item, can I issue the single document? Name is invoice cum bill of supply. Condition is if you are unregistered person, I can issue the single document and name of the document invoice cum bill of supply. Suppose if you are a registered party, I have to issue two documents. One for taxable item, that is tax invoice. One for exempted item, that is bill of supply. Kindly confirm. Is it clear? Kindly confirm. Is it clear or any question, please ask. Is it clear? Any question, please ask. Rekha is asking if customer not demand invoice, then what benefit the seller have because under Jago government say take bill of every purchase. See, if they are demanding, that's good. Suppose if customer is not जगह हुआ, कोई कस्टमर आया, कोई सोया हुआ कस्टमर आ गया, तो वो जगह नहीं अभी तक, उसने अभी तक वो एडवर्टाइजमेंट नहीं सुना, देन वो नहीं लेगा. Then you can issue the consolidated invoice. You have the option to issue the consolidated invoice. That's it. Please again repeat about issue the bill of supply. Isa, I'm fine. Not clear registered person. Fine, no problem. First is bill of supply. Bill of supply will be issued if I am regular category of the person issuing the or supplying the exempted item. Category number one. Category number two, if I am registered under the composition category, and we know composite category cannot collect the tax. Correct, now? In these two cases, the document name is bill of supply. Now, the third concept comes, suppose one person is supplying taxable as well as exempted item to one person. I am a supplier and you are my customer. Okay. You are coming to my shop and you are purchasing branded item and also some exempted item. The question is, can I issue single document? You are demanding that. You are demanding the tax invoice. I have to issue, no doubt about that. So the question is, can I issue the single document named as invoice cum bill of supply, or I have to make two documents? So rule 46 capital A says that if you, my customer is registered, I have to make two separate documents, one tax invoice, one bill of supply. Bill of supply for exempted, tax invoice for taxable. Second, suppose you are not registered person and you are demanding the document, you are demanding the invoice. I can issue the single document with the name invoice cum cum bill of supply, rule 46 allowing me to issue the single document. Is it clear? Consolidated tax invoice is supply related to one customer only? No, sir. Amrit Pal, 4. I am saying there are multiple customers coming to my shop. No one is taking the tax invoice. No one is demanding the tax invoice. Should I have to make the single document or I have to issue the separate tax invoice? They are giving, if they are saying, if the amount is up to 200, less than 200, if the total invoice value is less than 200, you're not required to issue the single, every separate document. You can just merge at the end of the day. So that is the facility. See, Amritpal, that is just the facility given to the registered person. That is only. रेखा सर, जब कस्टमर इनवॉइस नहीं लेता तो सेलर को क्या बेनिफिट होता है? बेनिफिट नहीं होता, जीएसटी का कंप्लायंस के लिए, और जीएसटी कंप्लायंस सप्लायर हैज टू इश्यू द इनवॉइस whether customer demanding or not demanding, whether customer demanding or not demanding, because if he will not issue the invoice, the time of the supply provision will not be triggered. How he will report the same in the GSTR1, GSTR3B? So he has to issue the tax invoice. Only point, if the value is less than 200, he can consolidate instead of individual transaction. Clear? Rekha and Amritpal and Isa. Rekha, Amritpal and Isa, kindly confirm so that we can have the quick break. So आज का break का time only 5 minutes. आज का break, today break, we will take only 5 minutes till 7:30. We will have the break. We will have the break till 7:30 p.m. अशोक जी, 10 मिनट का, ठीक है, 7 मिनट का ब्रेक है, ठीक है। Okay. So kindly answer the question number 3. Goods was sent on approval by Mr. A. What is the time limit to issue the tax invoice? A, B, C, or D? Kindly give the answer for question number 3. The right answer is 6 months from the date of the removal. We have already discussed section 31, section 7. Next, we will read. That we will discuss. Yet to discuss this question. Kindly answer the question. Kindly answer the question number 6. Raisa and Associate is supplying the taxable goods as well as exempted goods to ABC Limited, who is registered in the GST. Please advise whether Raisa and Associate can issue single document called as tax invoice cum bill of supply. We'll discuss, Prabhas. This is related to E invoice, so we'll discuss. We'll discuss. Yet to explain, E invoice provision is not yet explained by me. Yet to be explained. Question number 6. Can Raisa and Associate able to issue the single document or no? Answer is no, because ABC customer recipient is registered and Rule 46A says only when the recipient is unregistered. If the recipient is unregistered, then only he can issue the single document. I hope it is clear. Great. Kindly give the answer for question number 7. Kindly give the answer for question number 7. Kindly give the answer for question number 7. In case of the telecom operator, the invoice is to be issued within how many days? Normal. It is not the distinct person transaction. It is a normal transaction. Then what is the time limit to issue the tax invoice or supply of service by the telecom operator? What is the time limit to issue the invoice? See, here you can do the mistake and everyone not giving the same answer. The right answer is 30 days because 45 days banking company, financial institution, NBFC, and insurance. These 4 person can issue the 45 days. Telecom operator is not mentioned. So the answer would be 30 days. Why quarterly? Because quarterly is only for the limited purpose, that is distinct person. Question 7, right answer is 30 days. Kindly give the answer for question number 8. Kindly give the answer for question number 8. Kindly give the answer for question number 8. Telecom is included in the last point only in case of the distinct person, Mahadev. Only in case of the distinct person they have the option to issue that quarterly, but not in the normal case. Here I am not saying that telecom operator is using the distinct person tax invoice. If aggregate turnover is up to 5 crore, then how much digit is mandated to be mentioned on the tax invoice? The answer is 4 digit. Answer is 4 digit. Fine, no problem. Let's move to the. So what is the receipt voucher? What is the receipt voucher? In case supplier receive the advance, in case the supplier receive the advance, then he will issue the receipt vouchers. Please note, receipt voucher is not for all the receipt. Receipt voucher in the GST is limited only to the advance. Receipt voucher is limited only to the advance. Receipt voucher is limited only to the advance in the GST. Content, name, address, consecutive serial number, date, name, address, description, amount of the advance taken, rate, amount of the tax, POS, when the tax is payable, signature, etc. Where at the time of advance, suppose I am not sure the rate of the taxes, assume 18%. Suppose I am not sure that whether it is inter or intra, assume inter. See, two things you can assume if it is not clear. One is rate of the taxes, one is category of the supply or type of the supply, inter or intra, that you can assume. If customer has already paid the amount before issuing the revised tax invoice and supplied, it could not locate the customer, then what is that relevance? No relevance. Then no relevance. Then no relevance. He can issue and keep with him. See, Shreya, point is when the GST number would be allotted, you have to enter the tax invoice number. Which tax invoice number you will enter? You will enter the revised tax invoice number, because all the invoice which you issued prior to that will not the proper document, will not the proper tax invoice, because that not contain your GST number. So you will issue the invoice again so that you can capture in the GST return, GSTR1. You will need to enter the details, or in the numbering you need to enter the details so that you can capture, and in that I will use the revised invoice. Sir, but sir, for goods was not required to issue an invoice at the time of the receipt of the payment. Karthik, the time of supply provision talk about, or not the time, that particular, I can say from 15th November, basically for receipt of advance for supply the goods, I'm not required to pay the GST. That's it. See, the point which you are asking now, that is whether do I need to pay the GST at the time of advance or not? If it is goods, answer is no. If it is services, answer is yes. But whether I need to issue the receipt voucher, in both the cases, answer is yes. Whether should learn all the time. See, almost all are same, Kushi. Just you can make the comparative chart or something like that. You can easily learn everything. Almost everything are same. Almost one or two particular are different. Rest all are the same. Name, consecutive serial number, 16 character, HSN code, etc. You can just make a comparison chart. What that point is clear. Now, what is the refund voucher? I have received the advance from you because suppose our contract is cancelled. Then this advance I will return to you. On returning this advance, I will issue the refund voucher. I will issue the refund voucher whenever advance is returned. Not for every case. Again, you can see the content almost okay. Next is invoice and payment voucher. This is important. It is applicable only in case of reverse charge. This is applicable only in case of the reverse charge. First, self-invoicing. Now, there is a possibility. Suppose I'm talking about the transportation services. Mr. A is a transporter, GTA. He has given the supply to XYZ Limited. He has given the supply to the XYZ Limited. So first is self-invoice. Whether self-invoice would be applicable. Who will prepare the self-invoice? Recipient. When he will make the self-invoice, 31(3)(f) says, if supplier is unregistered, then he will prepare the self-invoice if the supplier is unregistered. If the supplier is registered, self-invoice not applicable. Why not applicable, sir? Because Mr. A is a registered. He has to compulsory issue the tax invoice. Therefore, a recipient is not required to issue invoice at their own. Second, payment voucher. The payment voucher, whenever the recipient will make the payment to the RCM supplier. See, in the GST, the payment voucher is limited to the reverse charge. It is not applicable for all the payment. No, it is not applicable for all the payment. It is restricted to the RCM transaction. It is restricted to the RCM transaction. So, in case of the RCM transaction, whenever the recipient will make the payment to the supplier, whether registered or unregistered, in both the cases, the recipient will issue the payment voucher. Repeating again, self-invoicing. Recipient will prepare the self-invoice only when the supplier is unregistered. Payment voucher in every case, whenever the recipient will make the payment to the supplier of RCM transaction, he will issue the payment voucher. Is it clear? Content you can read again, very simple, but concept is clear, I hope. If not, then kindly come. Particular I'm leaving. Kindly give the answer for question number 9. Kindly give the answer for question number 9. In case of the reverse, class start हुए क्या? Because मेरा screen black show कर रही है. Class start हो गई. Miss Aditi, I'm not sure आप किस क्लास में, क्योंकि आपका पहला मैं चैट लिख रहा हूँ. In case of the reverse charge, kindly answer. In case of the reverse charge, if the supplier is unregistered, then which statement are correct? A, B, C, D. A, B, C only, 3 options. Kindly give the answer for question number 9. Kindly give the answer for question number 9. Just now we have discussed that self-invoicing would be required in case supplier is unregistered. But payment voucher would be required to be made irrespective of the fact whether supplier is registered or not registered. Unregistered in case of the self-invoice, in case of unregistered. So in this question, supplier is unregistered, whether self-invoice is applicable? Answer is yes. Payment voucher always applicable. So the right answer is C. The right answer is C. Correct? Great. I hope it is clear. I hope, because self-invoice is applicable, supplier is unregistered, and payment voucher will always be applicable. Therefore, the right answer is C. Now, back to the discussion. Supplier permitted to issue any document other than tax invoice. So, we have discussed that government have the power by notification. They can specify the category of the services in which any other document issued in relation to supply which shall be deemed to be the tax invoice, or tax invoice may not be issued. So they have the power. Following supplier may issue the tax invoice, but they are also permitted to issue any other document in lieu of the tax invoice by whatever name called. Sanjay Jaiswal, Mr. Sanjay Jaiswal, kindly give your reason why not C. C, supplier is unregistered. Sanjay, I'm asking to you, please tell me, supplier is unregistered, whether self-invoice is required or not. Answer is yes. Now, in case of the payment voucher, you have to always prepare the payment voucher. irrespective whether supplier is registered or not. So in this question, can we say that both the document is required, self-invoice and payment voucher? Therefore, the answer C is right. Coming back to the insurance company, banking company, financial institution, NBFC. Document in lieu of the tax invoice. What is the optional? Serial number, it is not mandatory for them. Address, it is not mandatory for them. What is mandatory? Other than serial number as prescribed on the tax invoice. So other than this information, these two information, all the content which we have discussed in the rule 46, that has to be present on the document. Customer may avail numerous services from the bank insurance in a given tax period. Such entity may issue consolidated tax invoice, any other document by whatever name called, may be issued or made available physically or even electronically for supply the service made during a month at the end of the month. Now they are saying for every transaction, there is no requirement to issue the separate document. There is no requirement. They can issue the electronically or physically. For entire monthly transaction, they can issue at the end of the month. However, the signature or digital signature shall not be required in the case of issuance of the consolidated tax invoice or any other document in lieu thereof in accordance with the provision of IT Act. So if there is a signature according to the Information Technology Act is mentioned there, then there is no requirement of physical signature or digital signature. In case of the transporter, if they are registered, they have to issue the tax invoice. Now, according to the rule 54, they can issue any other document instead of the tax invoice. What they need to mention: gross weight, name of the consignor, registration number of goods carried, details of the goods transported, details of the place of origin, GST number of the person liable to pay the tax, other information as required in the rule 46. Now, third, if like it is a bus, then they will issue the tax invoice. Again, they have the option not to write the serial number, not to write the address. Rest all the information, they are issuing the ticket, which shall contain all the prescribed information, all the information discussed. Tax invoice shall include ticket in any form by whatever name called. Other information as discussed under rule 46. One example, please. Mahadev kiske liye? Mahadev, for which category you need example? However, signature, digital signature shall not be required in case issuance of the ticket in accordance with the provision of IT Act. Registered person supplying the service by way of admission to exhibition of cinematographic film in multiplex cinema. So this GT is for FCM or RCM? See, if the GT is registered, whether he is opting forward charge or the recipient is paying the tax under RCM, in both the cases, because GT is registered, he has to issue the tax invoice. See, if the GT is unregistered, in that case, we are not least bother about the GST provisions. Correct. If the GT is registered, then only he will issue the document that is normally in the industry. In that industry, we normally use the word consignment note, bill T, LR. That will contain all these documents, all these content which we have discussed. Just wait for some time. I'm searching on my email. If I could find any tax invoice of the ICC, any bank, I will show the same to you. But just wait for the end of the case. Just wait for the end of the case. Will definitely so. Just wait, either today or for next class. Okay. Now, in case of the multiplex cinema, they can issue detail of the recipient of the service is not required. Supplier is required to issue electronic ticket, and the said electronic ticket shall be deemed to be other than the detail of the recipient. Other than the details of the recipient, yes. Now, delivery challan. Delivery challan. Rule 55 specify the cases where at the time of removal of the goods may be removed on the delivery challan and invoice can be issued after the delivery. These are provided in the following table. See, there are the four situations in which you can issue the delivery challan. There are the four situations in which you can issue the delivery challan. First, if you are supplying the liquid gas, if you are supplying the liquid gas where the quantity at the time of the removal is not known. When I am supplying the liquid gas where the quantity is not known, so I will issue the delivery challan for moment. When the goods reach to my recipient, then they will arrange the payment of that particular liquid gas, and finally, whatever the quantity he received, for that I will issue the tax invoice. So these four circumstances are there in which supplier will issue the delivery challan instead of the tax invoice. First, supply of the liquid gas. Second, I am on the left side. Transportation of the goods. Challan means delivery challan. So challan wherein you can see the rule 55 challan means that is not the tax invoice. Instead of the tax invoice, you are using that document for the movement of the goods. So it is simply like there is a document named as a challan. Third is transportation of goods for reason other than by way of the supply. So you are transporting the goods, but that is not the supply. We can take an example of like sales on approval. That can be the also example. And such other supply as may be notified. Fine. So now which delivery challan, which details are of delivery challan is to be issued serially numbered, not exceeding 16 character in one or multiple series at the time of the removal of the goods for the transportation. What is the particular date and number, name, address, and GST number of the consignor, consignee, HSN code, quantity, taxable value, tax rate, tax amount, place of the supply, and signature. These are the content. What is the importance of delivery challan? Delivery challan will not create the tax liability in your hand. Suppose I am moving the goods to the job worker. I will issue the tax invoice. Answer is no, because I am not selling the goods to the job worker for any stitching work, embroidery work. I am sending the goods to the job worker for repair, for any treatment or process. So because I am supplying the goods, no, I am not supplying the goods. I am just moving the goods. For that moment, you will issue the delivery challan instead of tax invoice, because you cannot issue the tax invoice because you are not supplying the goods to the job. Similarly, there are the four circumstances. One is liquid gas, second is job worker, third is other than supply, and fourth is in any other cases as may be noted. Delivery challan will be issued in triplicate. Declaration in e-way bill. So when goods are being removed, being transported on the delivery challan, it shall be declared on the e-way bill. Right? I have to select the tax invoice to be issued after delivery of the goods. If when the goods being transported are for the purpose of the supply, suppose if it is a supply and tax invoice could not be issued because of any reason, tax invoice could not be issued. I am removing the goods. So normally the last date to issue the tax invoice is before or at the time of removal. That I am agreeing to you. But that is one exceptional case. Because of any reason, if you could not issue the tax invoice, you can send the goods on the delivery challan and you can issue the tax invoice. You can issue the tax invoice after the delivery. That is excellent point in case where the transaction is a supply, but you are not issuing the tax invoice. You might ask the question, sir, according to 31 subsection 1, it is mandatory to issue the tax invoice. So how you can supply before? How you can supply without tax invoice? Ideally correct. But yes, there is one relaxation available with us. What is the relaxation? Rule 55 sub rule 4 says that in case where the tax invoice could not be issued, suppose my system is not working, my ERP is not working, it is not possible to prepare the tax invoice, but it is mandatory to supply the goods. Then you can supply on the basis of delivery challan, and once the goods is delivered, you can issue the tax invoice. I hope it is clear. Give me the confirmation. Give me the confirmation. That might be the point on the supply, whether we can issue the delivery challan if it is supply of the goods. If it is supply of the goods, can we issue the delivery challan? You need to quote the rule 55 sub rule 4. If goods are in CKD or SKD condition, what is the full form of CKD or what is the full form of SKD? SKD means semi knockdown or CKD means complete knockdown, or in the batch or in the lot. Suppose there is one plant and machinery. Suppose there is one plant and machinery which has to be moved for repair purpose. And I have dismantled into 3 to 4 parts. I have divided in 3 to 4 parts. So either I have semi knocked down or I have completely knocked down. In that case, how to move that goods? Suppose I am supplying, let's change the example. I am selling one plant and machinery. I am selling one plant and machinery to you. Fine. Now there is single tax invoice. But that plant and machinery is so big in the size, and I have dismantled in 3 parts. I have opened that particular by screw. I have opened and divided in 3 parts. Now, in the one truck, only one part can be moved. So, how many truck I will use? How many truck I will use to move the goods? How many truck I will use to move the goods? The 3 truck I will use. 3 truck I will use. How many tax invoice are there? Kindly confirm. How many truck I will use to move the goods and how many invoice are there? Kindly confirm in the chat. There are 3 truck and 1 tax invoice. Absolutely correct. So how you will move the goods? That process has been clarified in the sub rule 5. This is the sub rule 5. Or either I'm sending the goods in the batch or in the lot. Then suppliers will issue the complete invoice before dispatch of the first consignment. So I will prepare. Suppose I am a supplier, I will prepare the complete tax invoice. Yes, I have prepared. Now, supplier will issue the delivery challan for each of the subsequent consignment, giving the reference of original invoice. Now, see, I am using one tax invoice, but using 3 trucks to move the goods. So there are 3 consignment basically. So for movement of the other consignment, I will issue the delivery challan. And copy of the corresponding delivery challan shall accompany each consignment along with the duly certified copy of the invoice. So that delivery challan, I will also attach the duly certified copy of the tax invoice. Then I will prepare the e-way bill and then I will move the goods. There are 3 trucks. So I have to prepare 3 tax invoice? No. The tax invoice is only 1. If there are 3 vehicle is being used, I have to prepare 3 e-way bill. I have to prepare 3 e-way bill. But sir, only 1 tax invoice is there. How can I prepare 3 e-way bill? You will use the delivery challan, and in the delivery challan, you will accompany the copy of tax invoice in the physical way. But e-way bill would be prepared on the basis of the delivery challan, not on the basis of tax invoice, because you have only 1 tax invoice. Kindly confirm, is it clear? See, Sanjay, sub-rule 5 is saying that in case you have, let's say you have 1 tax invoice, but you are sending the goods in the batch or in the lot or in the semi knockdown or complete knockdown condition. So how the movement would be? First, prepare the full tax invoice. Second, for each of the subsequent consignment, make the delivery challan. With the delivery challan, attach the certified copy of the tax invoice. That's it. Rafiq bhai, just wait for some time. The next class is on the e-way bill, electronic way bill. So one more requirement of the GST to prepare the one more document. Name of the document is called as e-way bill. रास्ते के लिए बनाना पड़ता है. Is it okay? For the time being, it is okay. Kindly confirm. Only those specific supply. Karthik, in the first, they have used the category of the goods liquid gas. In the second, they've used the job worker. But in the third, they have not used the specific category. Na? They are saying only when other than supply. In the third, they are saying other than supply. And fourth is any other categories may be notified. So in the fourth, they have not specified the goods, only in the one they specified the goods. But second, they have specified the purpose. Third, they have specified the purpose. In the fourth, it is open-ended up to the government. Now there is one more relaxation. I can use the delivery challan whenever it is a supply and tax invoice cannot be issued. A full invoice is attached to each copy. Absolutely, they come. SKD, semi knockdown, and CKD means complete knockdown. SKD means semi knockdown and CKD means complete knockdown. Shall I move? Credit note and debit note. Credit note and debit note. Yes, Amritpal, absolutely correctly understood. 3 truck, 1 invoice, 3 e-way bill on 3 delivery challan. Superb. Now, credit note and debit note. First thing, always remember, in the GST, credit note and debit note can only be issued by the supplier. First, we are talking about credit note. In the GST, credit note, it's look like, okay, why the screen is not visible? Is there any problem with others also? Screen is not visible clearly. Is this problem with anyone else also? Or only with Sushil? Kindly confirm, screen is clearly visible or not? Visible. No problem. Fine. So, Sushil, एक बार check करना अपने end पर. I am saying that credit note, please underline the word. Please underline the word. This word has to come in your paper. If the question is related to credit note or debit note, you must write these words. 1 or more tax invoice, 1 or more credit note. And in this particular 34 subsection 1, they are saying you can issue the credit note only for the 4 categories, only in the 4 situation. You can issue the credit note only in the 4 situation. See, first, 1 or more tax invoice, 1 or more credit note. Earlier, there is a requirement that 1 credit note should be issued for 1 tax invoice only. Now they are saying either there is a 1 tax invoice or multiple tax invoice. I can issue 1 or I can issue multiple. There is a requirement. Earlier, there was a requirement that there has to be 1-to-1 correlation. Now that correlation, that chain has been broken. Now they are saying you can issue for 1 credit tax invoice, 1 credit note. You can issue for multiple tax invoice, 1 credit note, or multiple tax invoice, multiple credit note, there is a requirement of one-to-one is done away. Second, you can issue the credit note for all the category of the transaction. No, sir. If taxable value is exceeded, extra, situation number 2. Situation number 3, if the goods are returned by the receipt, goods or services found to be deficit. Answer that. You remember that point. Great. But that was not for movement of the goods to the job worker. That is another provision which is not in your syllabus. Principal to the job worker. Principal to the job worker. The goods has been sent to the principal to the job worker, and it has to be written for a specified period, within a specified period. If it is not coming, then it will be treated as a deemed sale. Not to focus on that, I think it should be better because it is not in your syllabus. So you can issue the credit note for if the taxable value charged extra, tax is charged extra, goods has been returned, or goods or service has been found to be deficit. Can you issue? Say, can you issue for any other reason? Let's say my customer is not making the payment to me, for the amount has been bad debt. Can I issue the credit note? Simply no. Simply no. Because for the bad debt, credit note cannot be issued. Why cannot be issued? Because in the 34 subsection 1, in only 4 circumstances, supplier can issue the credit note. Taxable value is extra, tax charge is extra, goods has been returned, service or goods has been found to be deficit. What is the time limit to issue the credit note? Kindly tell me one thing. Kindly tell me one thing. This is important. Kindly tell me one thing. I am a supplier, you are a customer. I will issue the credit note to you by charging the GST. Let's say I am issuing the credit note to you by charging the GST. Will you take the ITC? Will you reverse the ITC? I'm not asking any technical question. Only from the layman perspective, you try to understand and then give the answer. See, I am issuing the credit note by charging the GST. Will you take the credit of GST charge or will you reverse the credit of the GST charge? Reversal of IDT. Thank you so much. Now tell me from supplier angle. Now tell me from supplier angle. Will I pay the tax to the government or will I adjust or reduce the tax liability? Will I pay the tax or will I reduce the tax? Will I pay the tax because of the credit note with the GST or will I reduce my tax liability? Will I reduce my tax liability? Supplier will reduce the tax liability or will pay the tax liability to the government? Supplier will reduce the tax or will pay the tax? Supplier will reduce the tax or will pay the tax? Credit note is the reversal of tax invoice. Credit note is the reversal of the earlier transaction. Suppose I am issuing the tax invoice. You will take the ITC, I will pay the tax to the government. Now I am issuing the credit note. It is reversal of earlier transaction. On the first transaction, you have taken the ITC. So now on the credit note, you will reverse the ITC. On the credit note, you will reverse the ITC. Let's talk about me. Let's talk about me. I have paid the taxes. Now I will reduce the taxes. Credit note is the reversal of sale. Credit note is the reversal of the sale. On sale, I am paying the tax. On the credit note, I will reduce my future tax liability. Is it clear? I will adjust. I will reduce. Now, because of that, they are saying for the credit note, there is time limit. There is a time limit. What is the time limit? Shall declare. See, a registered person will issue the credit note in relation to supply shall declare the details for the month during which it has been issued, but not later than September following the end of the financial year or annual return, whichever is earlier. We have discussed this almost similar lines in the 16.4. Almost similar line in the 16.4, correct now? So what is the last date to issue the credit note? For after the end of the financial year till September or date of the furnishing of annual return, whichever is earlier. बहुत बढ़िया Mahadev, you have given the reference of section 39. That is the difference, because in the 16.4 we have talked about the due date of furnishing of the return under section 39 for the month of the September following the end of the financial year. Absolutely correct. Super. At least you remembering. That's excellent. But here they are fixing that not later than September. That's it. Now the 34.3 is talking about the debit note, where one or more tax invoice or one or more debit note. Again, the same point, the one-to-one correlation has been delinked. Now I can issue for one tax invoice, one debit note. For multiple tax invoice, I can issue one debit note. For multiple tax invoice, I can issue multiple debit note. No problem. There is no requirement to match one-to-one. Fine. Where one or more tax invoice have been issued for supplies of any goods or services or both, and taxable value or the tax charged is found to be less than the taxable value or tax payable in respect of supply. So when we are issuing the credit note, if I have already charged the taxable value or already charged the tax higher than that is required, and when I will issue the debit note, sir, I have issued the invoice with the lesser amount. I have charged taxable value less than the actual amount, less than what I should charge. I have charged the tax less than what I should charge. Suppose I have charged 5%, but actually the rate is 12%. So what I will issue? I will issue the debit note. I will issue the debit note. It should be declared. It should be declared in the month in which it was issued. So the debit note who issue the debit note in relation to supply shall declare the details of such debit note in the return for the month during which it has been issued, and the liability will be adjusted accordingly. Explanation: for the purpose of this act, the expression debit note shall include the supplementary invoice. Any doubt? Any doubt? Kindly ask. Otherwise, we are moving to the E invoice. If you have any doubt, please ask. Otherwise, we are moving to the E invoice. Kindly confirm if it is clear. Kindly confirm if it is clear. Sure, I will repeat the debit note provision. Any other question? Again, explain why credit note is issued. Again, explain why debit note. What's going to be in receipt voucher and credit note. Receipt voucher is only advance. Receipt voucher is only advance. You are my customer. You are making the advance payment to according to the terms of the contract. And credit note, I have supplied the goods to you. I have issued that tax invoice. Now the tax invoice either tax, see, Akash and Somesh. Akash and Somesh, I am giving the reply for the credit note. So the credit note is being specified. So for the credit note, you have already supplied, you have already issued the tax invoice. Now, I feel that tax invoice I should raise for 90,000, but I have raised for 1 lakh. I found that tax in rate should be 12%, but I wrongly charge 18%. Or this goods is found to be deficit or service found to be deficit, or you have returned the goods. In these 4 circumstances, supplier can issue the credit note for reversing the earlier transaction to the extent of amount involved. Is it clear? Somesh and Akash, I have given the answer to you. Now I am giving the answer to the Rafiq bhai. The point is debit note. Debit note is increase in the value. Suppose I should charge the invoice for 1 lakh, but I have raised the invoice for 90,000. So I have raised the invoice for the lesser amount, or I have charged lesser rate of the taxes. So now I need to increase the value. So which document I will issue? I will issue the debit note, not the credit. All the 3 participants kindly confirm. Is it clear? Fine. We have the lesser time, but we will complete. So kindly stay with me. I will take class extra by 15 minutes. I will take the extra class. I will take some extra time in this class, approximate by 15 minutes, because we have to complete e-invoice and we have to complete the dynamic QR code concept as well. Now, check. What is e-invoice? E-invoice doesn't mean the making the invoice on the government portal. See, try to understand. E-invoice doesn't mean you are making the invoice on the government portal. No, you are making the invoice in your accounting software, in your ERP, whatever the software you are using, you are making the invoice in that. And then after making the invoice, then you are uploading the information in the government portal. You are uploading the information in the government portal. What is the name of the portal? IRP. Write the name somewhere. 3 important terms: IRP, IRN, and QR code. These are the 3 important terms for the e-invoicing. So, e-invoicing doesn't mean that making the invoice itself on the government portal. You will prepare according to your current system, and then you will upload the information on the government portal. That government portal, government has given 10 portal. The government has given 10 portal. So let me show you the name of the 10 portal. These are the 10 portal. It is called IRP, Invoice Registration Portal. This is IRP, Invoice Registration Portal. So you will upload the information. The information would be uploaded according to the e-invoice schema. E-invoice schema, that is INV01. After uploading the information, they will give the QR code embedded IRN number. What is the IRN number? Invoice reference number. So IRN number would be like this. In the bottom, that is IRN number. IRN number is not the invoice number. IRN would be the combination of the multiple things: GST number of the supplier, invoice number, invoice date, recipient GST number. It is a combination of multiple things, and then unique number is being available to us. So that QR code and IRN number need to be affixed on your invoice. That invoice now become e-invoice. So like this is QR code and this is IRN number. So rest of the information are same, nothing else. So you need to upload the information. You need to upload the information, and once you upload the information, then system this government portal, IRP, invoice registration portal, will give the QR code and also IRN number. What is the IRN number? It is combination of multiple things. It is not a fixed one thing. E-invoice schema, INV1 I have told you, IRP I have told you. Then these are the some sort of the flow chart you can say. You are uploading the details, then you are preparing the normal tax invoice, then uploading the information on the government portal, or that is IRP. Once you will upload, just wait. Seller to have JSON prepare utility from Excel, Word, ERP, etc. Prepare the e-invoice as per the schema having mandatory. Upload the JSON file of e-invoice to the IRP. JSON file, so the readable format of the particular Excel utility. Now you will convert into the JSON file and you will upload the same on the government portal. JSON pushed to that file will be pushed to IRP. IRP to have the facility to accept through API and through upload. Akash will discuss tomorrow e-way. In the next class, we will discuss why e-way will, what is the benefit. But for the time being, we will stick to the e-invoicing. Okay. Now, after that, what happened? After that, what happened? When we are enter the details into the IRP, then IRP portal will generate the IRN number. Does deduplication check with the system? So they will also ensure that GST tax invoice number should not be duplicated. Sign the JSON file with the digital signature of IRP. Address QR code to the JSON file. That is important. So now this QR code will be written, digitally signed will be written JSON file to the seller along with QR code included in it. Then user can download the same. Now at the same time, see, first facility is e-invoicing. Once e-invoice is made, the detail would be auto-populated in the recipient GSTR 2A 2B. The detail would auto-available in the supplier e-way bill. The detail will auto-available in the supplier GST returns. That is the one major benefit of the e-invoice. See, if I go back and let me talk about what is the major benefit of the e-invoice. What is the major benefit of the e-invoice? You can say accuracy. Obviously, there is less chance of mistake. You can do the reconciliation. Everything will be available. Cost reduction. Obviously, yes. Paper elimination, internal control, early payment, better relationship. And you can also write reconciliation. Also, you can write auto population in the e-way bill. So therefore, there is a less chance of the mistake. Again, it will reduce the cost, probably maybe manpower cost, maybe any other overhead cost. It will be available in the GSTR 2B of the recipient, in the GSTR 1 of the supplier. So what is the benefit? That again, I can say it will increase my accuracy. So we have discussed the benefit. You can read the benefit in detail. Now let's see statutory provision. Rule 48(4) stipulate that e-invoice shall be prepared by the notified class of the registered person. Who are the notified class of the registered person? The SAC whose aggregate turnover is greater than 20 crore. In the preceding financial year? No. Important point. Remember, important point. In the preceding financial year? No, sir. In any of the preceding financial year starting from 17-18. In any of the preceding financial year starting from 17-18. Meaning thereby starting from 17-18 in any of the preceding financial year, if amount is greater than 20 crore, aggregate turnover is greater than 20 crore, then e-invoice provision is applicable on your organization. See, earlier it was 50 crore. This is the November 22 amendment. November 22 amendment. You can see the November 22 amendment. The first e-invoicing requirement has been reduced to 20 crore with effect from 1st April 2022. E-invoice not applicable to the certain categories of the person. First, a special economic zone unit, insurance or banking company or financial institution, GTA, supplying services in relation to the transportation of the goods by road, supplier of the passenger transportation services, person supplying the service by way of admission to exhibition of the cinematographic film in the multiplex cinema. Repeating again, it is not applicable to the government. It is not applicable. E-invoicing is not applicable to the government and local authority. Additionally, it is not applicable to the SEZ unit. Please note one thing, this time relaxation is only to the SEZ unit, not to the SEZ developer. Insurance, banking, financial institution, GTA, transportation, passenger transportation service, or multiplex cinematographic film. They are not required to issue e-invoice even though their aggregate turnover exceed 20 crore. Aggregate turnover exceed 20 crore, then invoice would be applicable, and on which transaction? On B2B or export. सुशील चीजें अगर ऑटो पॉपुलेट होगी, if the things are auto populated, so there would be huge reliance on the data. Might be you can reduce your consultant, you can take your accounting or filing of the return work at your in-house. Might be you remove the consultant. Might be you can reduce your workforce also. There is a separate person for generating the e-way bill. There is a separate person for matching reconciliation. So might be less number of the manpower. Because of the automation, time will also be reduced. So according to the server cost, computer, etc., that will also be reduced. And every mistake has the penalty itself. Every mistake has the penalty. So that in other words, you can say that if you are reducing the mistake, you are also reducing the cost. Dynamic output we have to discuss. So e-invoicing, we have discussed everything. E-invoice, we have discussed everything in short, but it has covered everything. So it is applicable to B2B. It is applicable to B2C. No. For B2C, whether you require to issue the e-invoice, no. Only for the export in the B2C. So export is also B2C transaction. Export is also B2C transaction. In that you will, for export, you will issue the e-invoice, but other than export, rest B2C transaction, you are not required to issue e-invoicing. It is relaxed. Remember the name of these party: SEZ, insurance, GTA, passenger transportation service, OIDA, not OIDA, person supplying the service by way of admission to the exhibition in the multiplex cinema. And now they have added government and local authority. How e-invoicing generated? You will upload the detail on IRP portal, and IRP portal will fetch and give the QR code embedded IRN number. These three terms has to be there. These three terms has to be there: IRP, IRN, and QR code. IRP send the invoice data along with IRN to the system as well as e-way bill system. This is again important. The GST system will auto-populate them into the GSTR1, GSTR2A, now the GSTR2B with source marked as e-invoice. Now we are important for business cancellation. Yes, this is important. Can we cancel the e-invoicing? Can we amend the e-invoice? No. Whatever the information you entered, that's it. You cannot amend. You can just cancel within 24 hours. You can cancel the e-invoicing within 24 hours. After crossing the 24 hours, you does not have any option to cancel that e-invoice. Can e-invoice details be amended? Answer is no. Answer is no. But yes, when e-invoicing details are auto-populated in the GSTR1, then you can amend the details in the GSTR1. You are not amending the e-invoice. Please note, you cannot amend the e-invoice. But whenever the details are available in the GST return, you can amend like GST number, taxable value, tax amount, etc. that you can edit. Amendment of the invoice is not possible through IRP. Okay. Kindly confirm, is e-invoicing point everyone is clear? Everyone is clear or not? QR code we have discussed. QR code consists of the following e-invoicing parameter like GST number, invoice number, date of the generation of invoice, value, number of the line item, HSN code, etc. Now the last things we need to discuss, dynamic QR code. If aggregate turnover exceed 500 crore, if aggregate turnover exceed 500 crore, and then for B2C transaction other than export, you need to give the dynamic QR code. You need to give the dynamic QR code. What is the dynamic QR code? See, dynamic QR code and see, for example, I'm going to any shop to buy something. So they are showing QR code like Paytm, Bhim, UPI. What is that? That is static QR. You need to write the payment. You need to write the amount, how much you need to pay. But what is the meaning of dynamic QR code? The QR code which is being provided to the customer, that will have all the detail embedded in it. Just scan, auto-populated. Amount will also auto-populated. That is called the dynamic QR code. Difference between normal QR code, that is static QR code, and QR code which we are talking about above 500 crore for B2C transaction. Why for B2C other than export? Because for B2B and for export, we have already e-invoice provision applicable. So for that, you are not required to issue the dynamic QR code. For rest B2C transaction, you need to issue the dynamic QR code. Non-applicability of the requirement of the dynamic QR code. Let's see, there are the following possibility. The categories of the person on which dynamic QR code not applicable: insurance, banking company, financial institution, NBFC, GTA, passenger transportation service, exhibition of the cinematographic film in the multiplex screen. This is additional, OIDAR. No dynamic QR code in case of export. Now the parameter, dynamic QR code consists of the following information: supplier GST number, supplier UPI ID, pay bank account and IFSC, invoice number and date, invoice value and GST amount along with breakup. Further, dynamic QR code should be such that it can be scanned to make the digital payment. So main purpose to introduce the dynamic QR code, to facilitate the digital payment facility. Suppose if the supplier has issued the invoice having the dynamic QR code for payment, the said invoice shall be deemed to be compliant with dynamic QR code requirement. Compliance with dynamic QR code requirement has been examined in the following case. Now, there are the 4 cases which we need to understand. If the supplier provide or display dynamic QR code, but the customer opt to make the payment without using the dynamic QR code. Plus, so the supplier say, I will make the payment in any other mode, not through dynamic QR code. Okay. And the supplier provide the cross reference of such payment made without using the dynamic QR code in the invoice. See, suppose I am a supplier, my turnover is greater than 500 crore. I can issue the invoice with the dynamic QR code, that is. But if you are not ready to make the payment through dynamic QR code, and whatever the mode you are making the payment, if I will write on the invoice, if I will give the cross reference on the invoice, sufficient. In case where the supplier has digitally displayed the dynamic QR code and customer pay using any mode like UPI, credit card, debit card, online banking, or cash, or combination of the various mode of the payment with or without using dynamic QR code, and the supplier provide the cross reference. See, important line, supplier provide the cross reference of the payment on the invoice, it will be deemed to be complied the dynamic QR code requirement. In case without using dynamic QR code and supplier provide the cross reference, so suppose he is making the payment in cash. He is making the payment in cash, no problem. You can write the cross reference. Such said invoice shall be deemed to have been complied with the requirement of the dynamic QR code. Case 2. If the supplier make available to the customer an electronic mode of payment like UPI intent, or similar other mode of the payment through mobile application or computer-based application, where though dynamic QR code is not displayed, but the details of the merchant as well as the transaction are displayed, capturing otherwise. In such case, again the same point, if the cross reference of the payment of that electronic mode is given on the invoice, again it will be deemed to be complied with the dynamic QR code requirement. Can voluntarily be QR code can be taken or opted, sir? Somesh, if your aggregate turnover does not exceed 20 crore, if your aggregate turnover does not exceed 20 crore, you cannot opt QR code or e-invoice or dynamic QR code. If your aggregate turnover is not exceeding the threshold limit, in case of e-invoicing, 20 crore or more, or in case of the dynamic, 500 crore or more. Correct? Huh? So in that case, so e-invoicing, there is a login to the government portal. You cannot log into the portal unless and until you are having the aggregate turnover more than 20 crore in any of the preceding financial year. So optional, it is not available. It is available only if it is mandatory. Next case. In case of the prepaid voucher, where the payment has been made before issuance of the invoice, if cross-reference of the payment received either through e-mode or through cash or combination thereof is given in the invoice, it will be deemed to be compliant. So the main important term is cross-reference. Last case, in case where the e-commerce operator online application is filed with the dynamic QR code requirement, whether the supplier using e-commerce portal or application will still be required to comply with the requirement of dynamic QR code. Dynamic QR code requirement apply to each supplier registered person separately if such person is liable to issue invoice with the dynamic QR code for B2C supply. In case the supplier is making the supply through e-commerce portal or application and the said supplier give the cross reference of the payment. Sir, एक बात याद रखना, important term याद रखना, cross reference of the payment. Just note the heading, and in that the cross reference of the mode of the payment is given in the invoice, it will be deemed to be compliant with the dynamic QR code requirement. That's it. In case other than prepaid supply, where the payment is made after invoice, the supplier shall provide the dynamic QR code. If the payment is not made and supplier is issuing the tax invoice, obviously he has to give the dynamic QR code. By this, we have completed the chapter. But before completing the same, let's move to the certain question. Give the answer for question number 1. Give the answer for question number 1. ABC Limited is having the aggregate turnover more than 20 crore. ABC Private Limited is having the aggregate turnover more than 20 crore in financial year 18-19. After that, aggregate turnover was lower than 20 crore. Will the invoice is applicable from 1st April 2022? Yes or no? Give the answer yes or no. If my aggregate turnover is more than 20 crore in 18-19 and after that my aggregate turnover was lower than that amount, will the e-invoicing is applicable? Answer is yes, it is applicable. It is applicable because in any of the preceding financial year starting from 17-18. Important question. Company A is having two GST number. One is located in SEZ and another is located out of the SEZ. Company same, but two GST number. Now every GST number in the SEZ, the turnover is 15 crore. Out of the SEZ, 15 crore. Please advise the applicability of e-invoice on the company A. Kindly confirm whether e-invoicing is applicable on this organization in both the entity, only in the SEZ, only outside the SEZ, or in none of the entity. The answer is aggregate turnover is more than 20 crore, 15 plus 15, 30, total 30 crore. So aggregate turnover exceeds the threshold limit. Yes, on this company A, the e-invoicing provision will be applicable. Now the SEZ unit are relaxed. So out of the SEZ unit, they have to prepare the invoice according to e-invoicing. Both the yes. Question number 4. Yes, absolutely correct. Question number 4. Give me the answer. In case aggregate turnover is more than 500 crore, then whether dynamic QR code and e-invoicing both is applicable or any one is applicable for the below transaction. This is subjective question. First, for B2B, do I need to issue e-invoice? Do I need to issue QR code or both? For B2B, will suppose my aggregate turnover is more than 500 crore. In that case, for my B2B transaction, which provision is applicable? E-invoice, QR code, or both? For B2B, whether dynamic QR code, whether e-invoicing, both is applicable or only one? Give me the answer. For B2B, whether dynamic QR code and e-invoicing provision both are applicable or any one? Absolutely correct. Question 2 का answer. Question 2 का answer. First, company A having the aggregate turnover more than 20 crore, e-invoicing is applicable. Now, because SEZ unit is exempted, but yes, out of the SEZ unit, they have to prepare the document, they have to prepare the invoice according to e-invoice. So see, is it clear? Need to see B2C. For B2B, only e-invoice. For B2C, other than export, is dynamic QR code. For export, again, it will be e-invoice. Correct. Huh? E-invoice for B2B and export, absolutely correct. And for B2C, dynamic QR code. Give me the answer for question number 5. Give me the answer for question number 5. The quick revision is covered in this way. This time, the quick revision is covered in this way. ABC company issued the tax invoice of rupees 5 lakh. Now the customer is insolvent and the amount will not be realized. Please advise whether ABC company can issue the credit note for the bad debts. Can issue the credit note for the bad debts. Kindly write the answer. Give me the answer along with reason. Can credit note be issued for bad debt? The answer is no, it cannot be issued. According to section 34 subsection 1, we can issue the credit note only for the transaction. Now last question. This question is homework. After the amendment to 16.4, you remember that there was an amendment to the 16.4 that one line has been omitted relating to such debit note. Relating to such. Can it be treated that now credit note can be issued at any point of time? That is even after September, after the end of the financial year? I am telling you the answer that that deletion is only for the purpose of ITC. Correct. The time limit to issue the credit note is given in 34 subsection 2, meaning thereby till also the time limit is applicable, you cannot issue the credit note for a financial year after September following the end of the financial year. The time limit is still applicable, 34.2 is still applicable. That deletion, that amendment in 16.4 with respect to the time limit to take the ITC to different amendment, not to interlink. So the answer is 34.2. We can issue the credit note till September after the end of the financial year or furnishing of annual return, whichever is earlier. Thank you so much. And from my side, it is completed. Over to you for asking any question. If you have any question, please ask. If you have any question, kindly ask. We have taken a class extra by 15-20 minutes because we need to complete the chapter. Kindly confirm, is it clear or any doubt? I will wait for 1 minute and then we will wind up the class. Which amendment? 16.4 you can talk about. So there was an amendment that earlier it was a word debit invoice relating to such debit note. Earlier there was a word invoice relating to such, that has been deleted. No, credit note cannot. Absolutely, Akash. Absolutely. Absolutely. E-way bill we will discuss in the next class. Great, great. Last MCQ not clear. See, there was an amendment which is not applicable for you. It was earlier amendment. Just I have given for your clarity that there was an amendment in the 16.4. In the 16.4, there was an amendment in the last year. So is there any, there is a word invoice relating to such debit note. Is there any linking with the time limit to issue the credit note? Answer is no. Supplementary invoice. Supplementary note. Sir, will you upload these MCQ? I have given to the ICAI. They will definitely upload the same. So now we will discuss what is the full form: semi knockdown or complete knockdown. Semi knockdown or complete knockdown. Knockdown. Supplementary invoice. Supplementary. See, there is no concept of supplementary invoice. Only in the debit note you can also treat the same supplementary invoice. So if you refer the section 34 subsection 4 now, in the 34.4 the word is written that debit note include the supplementary invoice. Supplementary invoice, it means some sort of the debit note only. It means you are changing the invoice. You are increasing the invoice because of the reason of the debit note. So that supplementary means you can treat the same as a revised, but it is not exactly revised. Supplementary, you can treat the same as a debit note, increasing the value because of either taxable value charged less or taxable value charged less. Khushi, it is okay. You cannot say that it is you cannot say that it is like a revised invoice. No, because revised invoice in the GST there is a different concept. Clear? Fine, fine. So Ashokji, from my side, the class is completed. Sorry for too much delay, and we can wind up.